Hello and welcome to another episode of my Productivity Mastery series. My name is Carl Pauline and today I'm going to help you to overcome overwhelm. Now, one of the main causes of overwhelm is that we correctly use our task manager to collect all those little things that we need to do. The trouble is that you probably have found roundabout now that there is way more stuff to do than time available to do it. Now this comes back to the time management equation, if you like, which is time plus activity equals productivity or progress, whatever you want to call it. The trouble is, the one side of that equation that is fixed is time. We only get 24 hours a day, and within those 24 hours we've got to eat, sleep, rest, and travel, and various other things. But that's the limited resource. We only get those 24 hours a day. Now, some of you want to have some kind of border or barrier between your work life and your personal life, and that's perfectly okay. But that also restricts your time. So if you say, I only work 8 hours a day, then you've only got 8 hours a day in which to do all your work-related tasks. Equally, if you, with all your personal tasks, you've also got a limited amount of time to do those. And what I find is a lot of people are trying to manipulate the time part of that equation, which, well, you're fighting a losing battle. You will never be able to change that because that's all part of the laws of physics and time. The only part of the equation that you have any control over is the activity side. So what we've got to do is we've got to look at that side and start to really prioritize what is important. Now, one of my favorite phrases is, if everything's important, then nothing is important. And so we've got to start stepping back a little bit and sort of looking at the work that we have to do, not just our professional work, but our personal life as well, and deciding, well, what is important and what is not important. Because if you don't do that, you're always going to feel overwhelmed, you're always going to feel anxious, and you're always just going to be absolutely exhausted. So what can we do about that? Well, before we get to that, I have a brief message from this week's video sponsor. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. With thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, productivity, freelancing, and more. Skillshare has classes to fit your schedule and skill level, and members get unlimited access to thousands of inspiring classes with hands-on projects and feedback from a community of millions. For example, this course on Essentialism by Greg McKeown is fantastic. It has helped me to identify what is important to me so I can focus my time and energy on the essential things in my life. If you're looking for the perfect place to ignite your creativity and learning, then give Skillshare a try. The first 1,000 people to use the link or my code, Carl Pauline, will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Okay, well, thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. You know, Skillshare is such a fantastic platform to learn incredible skills. And what I really like about Skillshare is a lot of those courses are not long. They're not like 3, 4, 5 hours. You can do a Skillshare course in literally 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, but there are some amazing stuff on their platform that you can learn. So please check that out. Now, I want to give you a few tips on what you can do to really reduce that overwhelm and hopefully remove anxiety, well, time anxiety from your life. Well, the first thing is, as I mentioned, we need to step back and really understand what is important to us. But once we've done that, what can we do? Well, this is where your task manager and your calendar work together, because the thing about the calendar is it doesn't lie to you. It's got the 24 hours each day, and that's all you've got. It's the 24 hours each day, and you've got 7 days. Now, one of the best views to work from within your calendar, particularly when you're planning, is the week view, because that's going to give you the big picture view of what your week looks like. Now, in previous videos, and I've written about this on my blog, one of the first things you want to start with is your personal life, not your professional life. Your personal life, to me, is way more important than your professional life. Now, there may be times in your life where your career is very important. Perhaps you're trying to get a promotion, maybe you're starting your own business. There are going to be times when your professional life is going to be the priority, and that's fine as long as it's just a period of time. It doesn't want to be 40 years of your life, because then you're missing out on life itself. But what we need to do is we need to be looking at what are the tasks that we've got to do today and what's on my calendar. Now, meetings are generally fixed. Your meetings are going to be already scheduled on your calendar. If they're not already scheduled like throughout the week, certainly probably for the next day, you're going to be able to see your meetings on your calendar. That's going to tell you how much time you have available each day for doing the tasks. Now, what I find is somebody will have 5 or 6 hours of meetings in the day, leaving them only 3 hours of working time, and they've got 50 tasks to do that day. Well, you've already failed before you've started, because you're not going to be able to do 50 tasks and do 5 one-hour meetings. It's just not going to be possible. You've got way too much activity in the time that you have available. So on those days, you need to sort of look at that and say, well, okay, realistically, what can I do? Now, I had this myself yesterday. I had 6 hours of coaching calls yesterday. And so when I was doing my planning the day before, in the evening, I saw that on my calendar that I was stacked out for the day in terms of meetings. So I reduced my task list down to the absolute minimums. Now, I know a lot of people just put loads of stuff on their task manager because it's important and it has to be done, and then it doesn't get done anyway because you're stuck in meetings all day, or you're stuck working on a very important project that has a deadline. You've got to break that cycle. You've got to break that negative loop that's telling you you must do these tasks today, and then you don't do them anyway, so you feel guilty, and then you feel overwhelmed and you feel stressed out. Get real. Look at that calendar. What are your commitments for the day? And then look at the task manager and make sure that's balanced within the calendar. Next up that you can do is grouping tasks together. Now, Tony Robbins calls this chunking. I'd like to think just group the tasks together and then look for blocks of time that you can do that work. Now, one of my classic examples here is email. Email is just Slack messages and Twist messages and Teams messages. That's just a fact of life. You are going to get them. You are not ever going to be able to stop them. They're just going to be coming in on a daily basis. People are going to be asking you questions. People are going to want information from you. Bosses and clients are going to be giving you tasks. Accept it. It's going to come in, and it's going to come in every day. What you really want to be doing is accepting that and saying, okay, in order for me to stay on top of my communications, that's your Teams messages, your Slack messages, Basecamp messages, and your email, I need to set aside an hour each day. So make sure you block that time out. Just block it off on your calendar. Now, for those of you working 9 till 5 jobs, perhaps you want to say 4 till 5 is my communication time, and you protect that time. Now, of course, there's going to be occasions when you have meetings at that time. You just have to move your communication time to another part of the day. Just start moving things around so that they're fit into your schedule. So that's your communications. Rather than just sending everything to your task manager's inbox, like 20 emails for the day, well, all you're moving then is you're just shuffling paper. You're not actually doing email. Set aside an hour a day or 30 minutes if you don't get that many messages that you need to do, and just deal with it within that block of time. Now, for the other tasks on your task manager, like for instance, I because of the work that I do, I have a lot of writing to do. I have about 4 or 5 pieces of writing to do each week. Each one's going to take a minimum of an hour to do. So that means I need 4 or 5 hours each week in order for me to do my writing. Now, I could be wishful thinking and hope that that time will appear, but it won't. I need to make that time. So I've got 3 2-hour blocks in my calendar each week dedicated to writing. Now, not every day I can do it not every week I can do it at the same time, but I can move things around, and I do have Saturday morning, which I'm perfectly happy to do any final bits of writing that may need doing. So this week, for example, I will need to write the podcast script on a Saturday morning. It's not ideal, it's just been a very busy week. So, okay, I'm going to be happy. It's the only time I can do it, but it's got to be done. So it will be done on Saturday morning. So find those blocks of time in your week. Now, I've seen people's calendars because I do a lot of coaching, and they've got like 5 or 6 meetings every day, where you've got to get realistic about what you can do. Another one, probably more on the extreme side, but do you really have to attend all those meetings? Perhaps not. Perhaps you can excuse yourself and say, I'm really sorry, I've got a load of work to do. Would it be okay if I miss this meeting so I can get on and do it? The thing is, make sure you get on and do that work. So what we're looking for is similar tasks in your task manager so that you can actually group them together so that they can be done in specific time blocks on your calendar. So there's 3 things that you can do to really get your calendar and your task list working together, because they need to work together. There's no point, as I say, having 50 or 60 tasks for the day and you've got 6 or 7 meetings of 1 hour each all day. You know, you've already failed before you start the time. But the final part of this sort of equation, if you like, is make sure you give yourself 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day to look at your calendar, to see what you've got committed tomorrow, and then look at your task manager and decide what is a realistic number of tasks that you can do and when can you do them. That's really all you have to do. If you can get into that habit of doing that every single day, I can promise you that any feelings of overwhelm, stressed out, disorganization, anxiety, they will disappear because you are putting yourself back in control of your time. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you also to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And it just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week. Hello, thank you very much for watching my videos. Now I have something exciting to tell you about. Recently I have developed a brand new time management system. It's a system designed to manage your time in the 21st century. The world has changed a lot over the last 20 years. In fact, it's actually changed a lot this year. And what we need now is a system, a time management system that is very easy to use, easy to maintain, so that you can spend more of your time doing the work. And that's what the time sector system is all about. It's going to change your whole belief system about the way a time management system should work, because this focuses on when you are going to do the task. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter how motivated, inspired, or how urgent something is. If you don't have time to do it, it is never going to get done. And that's what this system is built around, getting your work done, so you can spend more of your time doing the things that you want to do. I hope you join me in this course. The full details of the course are in the show notes below, so please join me, and thank you very much for watching this brief video.